Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your pilot speaking, Captain Keith. We're about 10 minutes away from your destination called retirement. Weather looks good, 78 degrees and sunny. So prepare for your descent, buckle up, and let's see if we can land this thing softly. And thank you for flying Retirement Airlines.
And now, That Financial Guy with Keith and Jack Wilson, spreading a wealth of information.
That's pretty good, actually.
That is good.
You could be a pilot, but you don't know how to do anything besides manage money.
I'm the pilot of my client's money. But that was a good segue into what we're talking about.
God.
What?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a good segue. You know me and my segues.
Yes.
We're talking about retirement planning checklist in your 50s.
Yeah.
So I got to thinking, Jack, when you're planning for a retirement, it's like a journey. It's like a flight. Think about it. When you're in 20s and 30s, you're just starting off. You're taxiing down the runway. You're getting ready to take off. Your advisor has said, automate your savings, and you're starting your 401k for the first time. It could be a little scary.
Yeah, if you're flying Spirit Airlines, yeah, it could.
But not Retirement Airlines on Wilson Financial Advisors jet.
Yeah.
But it could be a little scary just starting off. You think about it, it's exciting as well because, when you fly and you first start to take off, and that pressure puts you back in your seat, and you're leaving the ground.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary, but once you get up there and you're starting that savings process and the financial planning process, hey, it's starting to feel a little bit better. And of course, there are bumps along the way in your retirement planning journey with turbulence and things going on. But
things
now
happen in the air.
Yeah, I think when I fly, the two scariest parts to me are taking off and landing.
Yeah.
I can
so
handle.
let's see where you're going with this.
Where I'm going with this, if you're in your 50s, we need to put together a checklist of a retirement planning checklist, because we're getting ready to descend. We're trying to land this plane on the runway, and it's getting pretty close. Mm-hmm. So when you're in your 50s, you're getting
there. You're getting to your destination.
It starts.
Because
I'm 50.
So let's go with that.
We're going to go with that 50.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. How many years running on that birthday?
I've been 50 for about 7-8 years now.
Okay, let's go with that.
All right, but you start to think about these things when you're in your 50s. It's getting close. It's getting real. So we want to put together a checklist to see where you are, and I think the first one would be you got to review where you are now. Take an assessment of where you are right now with your financial retirement plan.
Yeah, and I think one thing, assess where you are. Actually, according to Fidelity, the average 50-year-old has about $200,000 in their 401k. So what do you think about that?
I think that's
the average. According to Fidelity.
Fidelity, if they say so, I think that's low. I think I've had people come to me in their 50s, and you know what they come to me and they say, I've got $200,000, and they might feel really good about themselves. Mm-hmm. But they have and it's the first time they've ever met with a planner, and kind of they're saying, I think that's pretty good. Is it pretty good? Well, it depends on where you want to land this plane. It depends on what kind of income you want and things like that. But this $200,000 average 401k balance, according to Fidelity, that kind of gives you a comparison.
So, all right. So here's the thing. So you're 50 years old, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you want to retire at 60. All right. So not a whole lot going on with what you have right now. You're trying to get there. There's catch-up contributions. If you want to max out your 401k, when you turn 50 years old, you can max it out to $30,000.
From $22,500
$22,500 to $30,000.
That's interesting. You said catch-up country, because it could be that people in their 50s might have to play catch-up, no pun intended, but they find themselves, hey, I'm behind the 8 ball. Maybe I don't have enough saved up like I thought I did.
Yeah. We're
going to have to take advantage of those catch-up contributions. IRAs, Roth IRAs, you get an extra $1,000 from $6,500 to $7,500, and that's in 2023. As you said, the 401ks, we can go all the way up to $30,000. Also, the company match, you really got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and the reason I throw out, let's say if you want to do it in 10 years, you're 50 years old right now, like you said you are, right?
It's 7 or 8 times.
Okay.
I've been 50.
So if you're 50 years old right now, and you say, all right, I want to retire at 60 years old. What do I have to do? Do I need to catch up with the 401k, with the IRA contributions? Let's go to the rule of 72.
If you earn 7.2%, you're going to double your money every 10 years. You take 10 years divided by the interest rate that you think you can make, and that's how many years it takes to double.
Right.
That's an interesting point, because the average age someone becomes a millionaire is 49. I think that's according to Fidelity too. So here you are, 50. If you've got $1 million, and by the way, just because the average 401k balance for a 50-year-old is $200,000, that doesn't mean that's the average amount of net worth they have. They're by the time you're 50, you should be investing in different buckets: taxable bucket, outside Roth, and then 401k or a traditional bucket. But getting back to that point of $1 million, by the time you're 50, you should have it.
Yeah.
You should, that's the goal, and that's kind of
that
the
out there.
average person.
A lot of people might be like, whoa,
I'm well behind, and that's why we're saying you might need to play catch up. But the point is that $1 million, and if you earn an average 7.2%, just using the rule of 72, in 10 years it's going to double.
Right.
And that's when you're really getting closer to retirement, if not there. And that should give you some excitement of going forward. That doesn't even include, contributions. So review your financial plan. Know your number. What is it going to take for you to retire at a given age? Now, some people haven't even created a financial plan. If you haven't, you better get in front of a financial planner.
And then let's talk about investment strategy, because that's something else you have to review as you get older. I'm 27 years old right now. I'm as aggressive as I want to be in the market. When you get older, you have to, analyze that and, possibly rebalance.
It could be that over the years you've just let it go on autopilot.
Yeah.
Get that? Did you get that? Autopilot. It's the theme. Retirement Airlines.
Let me take a break.
With Captain Keith. No, it could be that over the years you just kind of plunked your dollars down.
But that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
Because that's what I'm doing.
You're plunking your dollars down. You've never changed anything. And it could be that by this point things are way out of whack and you need to rebalance. And what rebalance means is maybe in the beginning you said, I want 70% aggressive growth and 20% growth with income and maybe 10% bonds or something like that. Well, over the years, maybe that equity slice has really gotten out there. But to your point, as you're getting closer towards your retirement, it could be time, hey, we need to maybe pare back on the risk a little bit, because I always tell my people, hey, within about 5 years before you retire, we better start putting money aside in cash instruments, 2 years worth that you're going to need when you retire.
Right.
And the importance of that is it's something called sequence of returns, risk. So if you've got everything tied up in the market and everything tied up in risky investments, maybe it's been doing great for you over the years, but lo and behold, you retire and you're going to start drawing money off of that. And it could be in a year like we had in last year, 2022, when the markets went down 20%. Here you are pulling money out and it's going down. So take a look at those investments. As you get about 5 years away, start sliding some over into cash instruments. No, you may not cash instrument. It could be just something as just savings, money markets, fixed income. It's not going to make you a lot of money, but it's going to be free from that market volatility, let's say, and then you're going to be using that for the first 2 years in retirement to supplement your income, and leaving any equities alone.
Right.
So that's where the financial plan will address that. And again, if you don't have one, get with a financial planner. If you do, it probably needs to be reviewed in your 50s because we're getting ready to land this plane again.
Yeah.
So good point about
again.
that. Speaking of income, another thing you need to check off your list is Social Security statements. And it used to be they used to mail them out close to your birthday, but they don't really do that anymore. So this is super important to review your Social Security statement, not only to know what your number is at 62 or 67 or 70.
Yeah, but didn't you have a client a couple years ago that Social Security actually misconfigured their income for a year? It was like $55,000 that they made, but Social Security said $5,500.
Yeah, so part of our reviews with our clients is...
Be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Part of our reviews with our clients is we ask them, hey, bring in your latest Social Security statement. And one of the reasons is I want to make sure those numbers are right. And that's when I called, I said, hey, wait a minute. You earned $55,000 a year or two ago. And they put down they left off a digit.
It's kind of an important digit, too. It's a very important zero.
Right. So what happens is with Social Security, the way they calculate your Social Security benefits, they're going to take the top 35 years.
Yeah.
And so, number one, if you don't have 35 years, each year you don't, there's a zero, and that's factored in with this. But let's say 5,500 was counted in as one of those 35 years, when it was really 55,000.
Yeah.
So really important, review your Social Security statement, because as you're getting closer, well, remember, you're going to rely on part of your income in retirement is going to be Social Security. Yes, it's going to be there, folks, when you retire. And all this talk about Jack, I have heard.
Oh, we're about to go down the rabbit hole.
We're going to go down a rabbit hole, but it has to do with Social Security. Been doing this 35 years, 34, 35 years.
Old.
No, for 34, 35 years I've been doing this. And I remember 35 years ago, people were saying, that's it, Social Security, they're robbing the piggy bank, the government, Congress, and all of that. And Social Security is going to be defunct. I was talking to 60-year-olds 35 years ago saying, I'm getting ready to collect on it. It's going to be gone. I'm not going to have it.
Right.
And yes, Social Security's got problems. And you'll see on your Social Security statement that, hey, at this rate, we will not be able to pay full benefits by a certain age. But what the government does, they always come up with plans. One of them was, hey, instead of full retirement age 65, we're going to increase that to eventually phase to 67.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Social Security is going to be there when you're going to collect. But it's so important. Review your Social Security statement every year. And the way you do that, go to ssa.gov. You create an account with a Social Security, and you're able to retrieve that Social Security statement. So super duper important to catch those mistakes, and as well as to get your updated figures. So that's another thing off your checklist. Another one. Speaking of income, we're a big 3-bucket strategy.
Gosh, we talk about it every single time.
All the time.
But it's important.
What are those 3 buckets?
So all right, so with the 3 buckets, we have a taxable, we have a tax deferred, and we have tax free.
So the taxable is going to be your normal brokerage account.
Right.
Tax deferred is going to be, a traditional IRA or a 401k. And then the tax free is the Roth, as long as you follow rules. Quick disclaimer: anything you contribute into a Roth is not. You don't get a tax deduction going in. It is tax-free coming out as long as you hold it for 5 years or 59 and a half, whichever is later, in order to get those earnings. You can pull out the contributions that you make at any time without a penalty or taxes. But if you don't have the bucket, the Roth bucket, consider doing some Roth conversions. And all you're doing is maybe you've got everything loaded up in that tax-deferred bucket.
Yeah.
Your IRA or 401k. And maybe you make too much money to contribute to a Roth. Your contribution is what? Going to be now at 50, 7,500. So maybe consider looking into converting some of that tax-deferred dollars into the Roth. You got to follow the rules. It's tax. You're taxed on that conversion when you take it out of the tax deferred into the Roth, but then it's growing from that point tax free. One thing you got to be aware of in a Roth conversion, every conversion you make has its own 5-year rule.
Yeah,
it's all separate. So that's why you want to consider doing it now before you're retired, and then leave that Roth. Ideally, and it depends on your plan, but you want to leave that as long as you can and not touch it,
right?
So it can grow tax-free. But you got to be aware of that. Again, financial plan, retirement plan, a true one will address that. We have the software that will calculate, what's the optimum time and optimum amount. But that's where you need to get with your financial advisor and planner.
Yeah, and I'd add a little side note here. So let's talk about debt real quick.
Let's talk about debt. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about debt. I wouldn't consider this a huge portion of this checklist because, in my opinion, I think it's just assumed. Hey, I don't want to go in retirement with debt. So we want to make sure when you're nearing that age where you're saying, all right, I'm settling down, I'm ready to be done, I want to retire. I don't want to have a mortgage payment when I'm retiring.
Right, that's the goal.
Yeah, and mortgage I throw out there because that's a big one that's a big payment for a lot of folks. Let's buckle down, get that mortgage out of the way, get whatever kind of debt you have out of the way, because it's going to kind of conflict with your income that you're going to have in retirement.
I don't mean to be, let's say it like this. If you're in your 50s,
yeah,
there is no excuse to have credit card debt.
Yeah.
You think about that. A 20-year-old, we see that happen all the time. It's enticing, and it just grows upon itself. Then in your 30s, this comes up, that comes up, and I've always heard, I haven't always heard, some people say, my credit card is my emergency fund. And so by the time you're 50,
it's hard to hear.
You've had some life experiences, and you've been bitten once or twice.
Yeah.
And maybe you did have credit card debt at one time, and you said, I'm not doing this ever again.
Right.
And maybe you worked with a planner, or you came up with a debt reduction plan to get out of it. So there really is no excuse for somebody in their 50s to have credit card debt. Now,
say it louder for the people in the back.
I would say I'm not so staunch to say don't ever use a credit card. I'm not like some of those people.
Right.
So in this day and age, I think a credit card is useful to have.
Right.
Credit card use is okay, but if you're not paying that balance off at the end of the month, that's where it becomes an issue. So in your 50s, you really shouldn't have any credit card debt. You might still have that mortgage. You think about it, the average first-time home buyer right now is, you probably don't even know this.
Average age?
Average age, when the first time, 36. It's gone up.
What
According
was
to, I think it's bank rate.
Okay.
Bank rate.
36?
Age 36 is the average today, yes. It's gone up. It was
Golly.
years ago. I remember when it was 28, and then it's crept up there.
I can't say anything. I don't have a house.
Well, sometimes rent has a lot of advantages. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother video.
But I said all that to say, you think about that. Maybe you got your mortgage when you were 35.
Yeah.
And now you're 50. Well, that's 15 years. And maybe you took a 30-year mortgage, and maybe you refinanced it along the way, and it added to the goal line. So if the average 50-year-old is when they first become a millionaire, age 49 is the average age, and 50s is your peak earning years. Mm-hmm. Well, to your point, now's the time to buckle down, double up on those mortgage payments, maybe do a bi-weekly mortgage, because when we land this plane in retirement destination, which is sunny, beautiful, 78 degrees, you don't want to be encumbered with any debt, mortgage or otherwise. Try the bi-weekly mortgage, which is you're making your payment, you're cutting it in two, and you're paying it every 2 weeks. Essentially, you're making one extra payment a year. Any bonuses that come along the way, promotions, get that mortgage out of the way so you can be debt-free going into retirement. Absolutely no credit card debt. We do still see student loans in 50s, believe it or not.
It's crazy.
But buckle down. That's the thing to do. Get rid of it while you're in your 50s. Or else it's just very unhealthy to have it.
Yeah. You're not going to have a very happy, fulfilling retirement with that debt just leaning over your shoulder like that.
Now, speaking of healthy, how did you like that one? Speaking of healthy,
we'll see where it goes.
Look, your health is another issue. In your 50s is when I start, as a financial planner, I start recommending my clients to start looking into long-term care insurance.
And see, that's kind of weird for some people to hear, that long-term care insurance in your
when they're 50 years old. Wait a minute, I'm 50.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I see it both ways, because I see people in their 50s, you think about it, their parents are 75, 80, and they'll come to me, the 50-year-old, and said, Mom and Dad, Mom or Dad, or both, went to assisted living, and it's just draining them. I don't want that to happen to me. How do I protect the assets? So start in your 50s, long-term care insurance. Long-term care insurance is insurance to pay for a nursing home or an assisted living facility or in-home care, because Medicare is very limited. Normal group health insurance, very limited. It only pays for a nursing home, skilled care. And nursing home, most people in nursing homes are custodial care. And Medicare, Medicaid does not pay for assisted living, very limited for in-home care. The average cost of a nursing home in this area is about $250 a day. You're talking about, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month. Assisted living, not quite as much. In-home care can range, if you need 24-hour a day care, that's going to be more than a nursing facility. And I say get it now because hopefully your health is in still good shape where you're healthy enough to get it. So,
and you don't want to wait until, let's say, like 65. So if you bought it, if you got it right now at 55, pay it for 30 years
to 85,
you'd be paying less than what you'd be paying at 65, paying for 20 years.
So you're exactly right. We did the math in that 30-year period, 55 to 85.
But it makes sense though.
It does.
You're healthier and you're...
So people say, well, I'm only 50. I might not need it until I'm 80. So again, you'll pay less in that time period than if you just waited 10 years in a 20-year period. So premiums are lower. Hopefully your health is in better shape. But another issue that we're seeing, we're trying to look at long-term care policies for our clients. Some of these carriers, some of these insurance companies, some of the questions are, what's your family history? Did your mom or dad have some form of dementia, Alzheimer's or something like that? And if you answer yes, then even though you don't have dementia, it was mom or it was dad, and maybe they passed away. Well, that's a knock against you. We're going to decrease your benefits. You don't
Right.
get full benefits. So you want to get this secured before these events happen. Your own health, get it at a lower age, and get it based on your family history before something happens. And then we design the policies. There's different kinds. We're not going to talk about all the different kinds, but sometimes a lot of folks don't need full-blown coverage.
Right.
And then there's the hybrid long-term care plan that has a little mixture of the life insurance tied in with the traditional long-term care. But this is the time in your 50s to get that squared away.
Also, in the time in your 50s, if you have not done this yet, we need to talk about wills. We need to talk about estate planning. So if you don't have a will yet, let's knock that out. If you do have a will, check up on it. Check up on your beneficiaries.
Give an update on it.
Let's say if you're divorced and you still have the same beneficiary down, and you hate her or you hate him.
You know how many times I've had that happen?
Yeah, no, it kind of doesn't really cross your mind. But once you bring it up, hey, your ex-partner is still your beneficiary.
That's right.
And they're like, nope. let's
Because
change
it's like this. I've so many times in our client reviews or a client first meeting, part of it is, do you have a will? Oh, yes. Got that years ago.
Years ago.
Great. And they feel good that they say, I did it.
Right.
I said, well, great. But I see you've been divorced for 10 years.
Yeah.
Have you changed the will? And then the light bulb goes off and their eyes get big and say, oh, no.
And sometimes they're sitting with their new partner.
Yeah. So that happens a lot. So if you don't have a will, get it.
Yeah.
If you do have a will, review it along with your other estate planning documents, power of attorney. But at the same time, check on beneficiaries for your life insurance policy. A lot of times people are changing jobs. They get a new 401k and they don't put down a beneficiary.
Right.
So if you died and you did not name a beneficiary on your 401k IRA, then it goes to the estate. And then it's divvied up according to what the will says there.
Right.
Again. Who knows what's in there? So these are some things to check out. Your retirement checklist in your 50s, it's not an exhaustive one. I go back to point one, review your overall financial plan with your financial planner. Even if you've got one, update it. If you don't have one, get one. By the way, check out in the description below or the show notes below, we do give a free retirement checkup. Just click that link where you can talk with us personally to give you a full-blown retirement checklist. In the meantime, let's plan to descend and land this plane softly. Thank you for flying Retirement Airlines. We're out.
That was really loud in my ear.